Well, we've been monitoring Parliament very, very closely for the last few weeks, reading through all the paper on a daily basis, because I had a suspicion that Parliament may not be working as it normally would, and my suspicions were proven right. And we started to have a conversation with some of the members of Parliament, and it confirms that they have not seen enough serious government business in the House since Parliament resumed in January. And we wanted to look at this a bit more and have a bigger conversation about why. There are two broad issues that we're beginning to see in Parliament. One is that if you check the order paper, government business that is supposed to be done since January have not been done and consistently have been procrastinating and being pushed forward, and they're still on the order paper. And the issues are not being dealt with. And then you also begin to see last week that MPs, maybe because of that, have become very lackadaisical about going to Parliament. And so they are missing Parliament because there's really nothing for them to do. Last week, they were forced to adjourn the House because there were simply not enough members in the House to form a quorum. Is this lackadaisical attitude in Parliament, the stall government business, the gridlock, etc.? Is it a result? Is Parliament feeling the effects of the gridlock brought about by the inability to move, this inertia that government is in over the e-levy? Is that what is affecting Parliament and brought on this malaise in the House? Let's delve into this a bit more. That's a conversation we're going to have. This is the People's Parliament, and so it's always important to put a bit of a spotlight on this. We've been tracking it, as I said, the government business. If you look at the other paper, you begin to see the business committee meets, and then they plan the work of the House for the next week. And they say in the other paper what they're going to be dealing with, the business they're going to be dealing with. So the government business is spelled out. If you want to see if government is working, one of the areas to look at is there. Of course, there's a committee work. There you can speak to the members of Parliament themselves. And the members of Parliament are telling us that even committee work is not happening as it should. So we tracked a bit. We tracked from the 1st of March to the 11th of March. This is a period of what? 11 days. But remember that Parliament sits 4 times in a week. So you're talking about this 8-day period, right? And something very interesting began to emerge. There were 4 motions on the 4th of March. If you look at all the 4 motions on the 1st of March that were in the order paper, all of them were repeated on the 11th of March. That tells you something very simple. That these motions that were tabled on the 1st of March for consideration haven't been done. And what we found was that every single day after the 1st March when Parliament had sat, they copy and paste. It is repeated. And so nothing happens. And it's 11th of March is Friday. That's the last time Parliament sat, just last week Friday. And we begin to see the repetition of the business of the House that they were supposed to deal with. And some of them are very important official government business, right, that they were supposed to deal with. So here are a few of them that had been on the order paper, but nothing has happened about them. Adoption of the investigative report of the Committee on Defense and Interior on the incident of military-civilian brutality in Wa. This is a very important document. It's been on the other paper, repeated for 8 days continuously, and still hasn't been dealt with. We have the House to rescind the decision taken on the 7th of November 2020, loan facility agreement towards the construction of a 40-bed hospital. So you think this is a very important issue that borders on a hospital facility for the people of Ghana, right? And government plans to rescind the decision taken on the 7th of November 2020. It has been on the order paper for 8 days, and no work is happening on this, so they keep repeating it. And then adoption of the reports of the Finance Committee. Again, they haven't done it. It's there on the other paper, repeated and repeated and repeated for 8 days. Adoption of the report of the Committee on Health on the agreement for the construction and equipment of 40-bed district hospitals. Again, government business, it's not happening. Although it's been scheduled and it's in the order paper, we've seen it's been repeated over and over again. We need to ask questions why this is on the floor of Parliament. Again, we went back to when Parliament resumed. This is the 25th of January. Parliament returned on the 25th of January, and the last day of sitting was on the 11th of March. Now, something very interesting you begin to see on the screens here. Things as simple as second reading of bills. As you can see, Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2021, it was scheduled to be done on the 25th of January when Parliament began sitting after the break. After the last day of sitting on the 11th of March, it is still there. Same wording, copied from the 25th of March and pasted into the order paper on the 11th of March. So this is a significant length of time, right? That it hasn't happened. That this whole second reading. I mean, how complicated is it to simply bring for reading of a bill, to bring a second reading of a bill on the Supplementary Appropriation 2022? And I need to find out. So the fact that this hasn't happened, has it got any implication for the way government business is done at all? You know, so that's a telling thing, right? Something as simple as second reading on the 25th of March, still on the 11th of March, still hasn't been done. Second reading still not done. Why is that? We'll get into that very shortly. And then it begins to affect, very interestingly, members of Parliament who are, in essence, refusing to go to work. Quorum, according to the Constitution, is 92 MPs must be in the House. This is the constitutional provision of quorum. Quorum of Parliament, apart from the person residing, shall be 1/3 of all members of the House. That is 92 members. You need 92 members to do business. Listen to what happened last week. As of last week, last time Parliament was forced to adjourn. Parliament was forced to stop doing business because there were only 41 MPs in the House. They required 92. We have 271 MPs. Last week, one of the days, only 41 MPs went to the House. The Speaker of Parliament was forced to say, we can't do business. So that day was a holiday for the members of Parliament. Go home, because we don't have enough of you to form a quorum. Only 41 were in the House. They only need 51 more to form a quorum, and they didn't get it. So truncated the House, and people went home. And it appears it's been so for a long time. And the second day, quorum came up again. The Member of Parliament raised an issue about the quorum. Again, became controversial. The Speaker, it wasn't really heard. It became controversial. And the matter again was not heard. But on one of the days last week, the Speaker was forced to adjourn this to the next day. Again, so this tells you a story of what the problems really are in Parliament, right? Again, what has Parliament been doing then is a question. So if they are not doing the things they put on the order paper to do, and they've been repeated it, so what really have they been doing then? As we see, they've been answering, we see answering of urgent questions. There's been a lot of this happening. A lot of ministers are coming in to answer questions and go. Several of them. We've seen the Transport Minister. We've seen the Foreign Affairs Minister. So they do that. And then we've seen other things, private, members' actions, other activities, celebration of International Women's Day. And some of the members of Parliament themselves are complaining that there isn't enough work to do in the House. Listen to Sam George, we spoke to last week, very, very concerned about the state of affairs in the House.
Parliament appears to be at, for want of a better phrase, a standstill. Nothing seems to be going on. There's no government business. The government appears to be in a state of paralysis. There's no government business. Normally, Parliament moves on government business. You realize that basically all we do is we do correction of votes and proceedings. There are a few statements here or there. Absolutely no government business, no referrals to committees. And so the committees are not meeting.
So
Parliament
the committees are not working as well?
I mean, tell me which of the committees are sitting. If the committees will be sitting, it will be on the basis of government business. Okay. At the end of the day, government is the executive business is what drives Parliament. There's been zilch. I mean, even the president has basically absconded from doing his State of the Nation's address. I mean, I can't remember since 1993. There's nothing. We are doing International Women's Day statements.
You spent about 2 hours on that.
Because there is nothing else to talk about. Of nothing happening. You know, this confused state of the country, where we can't even have a State of the Nation's address, where we don't have government business coming, where government business has come to a standstill.
That is a member of parliament. Government business has come to a standstill, he says. Well, is that really the case, as the evidence has shown, and why is that?